And Elena.
From the local lowdown, and we're here with District Kid at Creek House.
If you'd first like to introduce yourself and your background in music.
All right. My name is disctr4k, and I live in Buckman, New York, and I mainly produce electronic music, and I just like to, make grooves that, resonate with me, and yeah, and I also do like visual work too. Sometimes I also do like photography on the, as like a side project, to kind of fit with like the music that I do. So yeah, it's I'm just kind of a creative person. I tend to, spend most of my time just crafting whatever I can because I'm a very imaginative person. So a lot of things come to mind when I create things. So I'm glad to be doing this, honestly. So
That's awesome. So you started creating music at 13. How have you always been interested in like electronic music, or have you started at some other?
a correction. I've started music when I was 11.
Oh, that's awesome. That's even cooler.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff isn't, online, so I can get why, my first album under diss track was when I was 13, which was like, Fitzgerald. I have no idea, like, how to pronounce it. Like, I just chose like a random album name back then, and it just fit. But yeah, when I was 11, I had like my mom's laptop, and like I started to make music on FLC to 12, and I realized, I can just make music there. And then time went on, and I started to get used to FL, and started to getting used to being comfortable with my ideas and being like, this could be good. And then when I was 13, I released my first album, which was full of like a lot of house tracks that I made over the pandemic and stuff. And back then it was, especially during that time period, it gave me a lot of time to to really sit down and kind of get my creative juice going. And a lot of the stuff that I was making back then, I was on a creative roll like every single day, honestly. I don't know how I did it, but in the end I just that became my first album. So yeah.
That's awesome. Very interesting. Well, going on to now this performance, and it was your first performance live? Yeah. How did you feel it went, and what was it like playing live for the very first time?
It was really good. I mean, at first I was nervous, really nervous. Like a few weeks beforehand, after, I got like the offer, I reached out to one of my friends, for advice and stuff like that, because I was like really anxious that I'd like, mess up or screw up or anything like that. But when I arrived here, the space was really, 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 like relaxing, and, I found myself very comfortable to, to interact with people and stuff like that. When I started like my set, I started, to feel a bit, anxious as well. But as time went on, went on, when I was doing the set, I just found myself more comfortable as people were, getting to the groove and stuff like that. I saw people, dancing, and there was especially that, one person like on like my left, like near the door, that was like dancing, like going at it, like really just, pumping his, his legs and stuff like that. And so, it was fun to see him do that. He was doing that like the entire set. I thought it was really, cool.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Did you always think that you were going to have some live performances later on, or was this something that kind of came up and you were just excited for the new experience?
I've always thought, like that one day I'll do like a live performance someday. I was like one day, but I wasn't so sure like when it would come. Which is why I'm glad I bought, my DJ controller like beforehand, because I was interested in DJing, and playing sets beforehand. But the thought started to kick in when I was like, one day I just want to like play like a live set someday, in front of people, and then I guess I never, that thought never really, came to mind after some time. I never really thought of it until, I got that offer. I was like, oh shoot, that's like a cool offer to do. It's a start for me, because I love to, to take my music, everywhere. And, have people resonate with it, and also, just have a good time with it, honestly. So it's good to be out here and to share my music with people, and yeah.
Awesome. So your Instagram has lots of film and photography, which you talked about,
Mhm.
which makes me excited for a possible music video. Is there a song you would love to make a music video to?
Soon.
Soon. Oh, okay.
All right, good to know. We'll have to look out for that. But going on, looking back, we found a 20 out of 10 review for Igor by Tyler the Creator, which is correct, by the way. And we were wondering how his music inspires you.
Wow, yeah. Back then when that album released, obviously I was, excited to listen to it. And I was a fan of his before that album was released. I was looking to like his discography for a little bit, and his sense of like his instrumentals, which he self-produces and stuff like that. Like his sense of instrumentals was just, they really resonated with me. I love to the way he did his drums, his chords, and the way he flows on like his his instrumentals and stuff like that. And I was always I was a fan of his humor too. I found myself watching like a lot of like classic like Tyler clips back and back then. And then when Igor came out, I was listening. I remember vividly just listening to it, in my bedroom, and I was just one of my two favorite songs, that stood out to me a lot was New Magic 1 and Think, or I Think, maybe, but that track, it's those two stood out to me a lot because they really, it's sort of like I don't know how to explain it, I don't know how to put it into words, but like it's one of those songs that I could describe myself in a way, based on like how the tone of the track is, or the melodies, the drums and stuff like that, and the little breakdowns in New Magic 1 like really resonated with me, and that's it was like, oh wow, this is like when the drums kind of have like their own kind of drum solo for a little bit before like another section comes in and stuff, and his bridges are really good. But yeah, it's that he's a part of my inspirations, for music, based on like how he does his rhythms and stuff, and how he does his beats. Yeah. He's a good instrumentalist, and yeah, he's a good artist.
Absolutely. Are there any other artists that you're really inspired by?
I'm one of the artists that like really inspired me to do like the music that I do now is Lone as in like the electronic music producer.
Gotcha.
Who made Airglow Fires. He did like the instrumental to Azealia Banks's Licorice, I'm pretty sure, and he did like a lot of more like cool tracks that like stood out to me a lot. I love his way of like adding like lush pads and atmospheric things at like recordings of like outside and stuff like that, just field recordings that he would put into his stuff. His album Galaxy Garden, like, my God, it's so good. It's such a great album, and it really inspired me to kind of dive into like this atmosphere of like fast-paced breaks and drums with like really nice soothing pads and chords and stuff like that. He's really good at it, and he's helped me a lot with like a lot of what I was doing back in 2020 through now, honestly. And Ross from Friends, he's a lo-fi house artist, and his earlier works from like 2017, like they were just awesome. Like they were his drum patterns especially, he really inspired me to to input like these raw texture patterns that he does with his drums, and his sense of like his lo-fi processing too, like it was just like nothing that I've ever heard before, and his remixes too. Loose Woods, his Loose Woods remix is one of my favorites. I bump to it like all the time, and every time that it comes on, I just put it on repeat. A lot, like there's a lot of variety in it, and it's really good. Katama is another artist. He's worked with Lone on an EP, which is really good, and he's a nice like techno artist. He's really great, at what he does. But that's kind of like the major inspirations that I can name on top of my head, I'm pretty sure. But also my friends that also make music that have stuck around me for like the longest time. They've inspired me to, a lot of it I've actually found out like early when I was wanting to make music, and I got the chance to be friends with them now, and it's cool. So my friends and those 3 artists in particular are my major inspirations for music.
That's amazing. So earlier this month, you had posted a teaser for a possible visual album. Is there any information you can tell us about this release?
Well, remember that question when you told me that I'd make music videos?
Yes.
It correlates to that,
Yeah.
but that's all I could say.
That's
for
okay.
that.
That's okay. I just wanted to try and get a little bit out if I could.
No,
But you're good.
It's good.
You're
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a whole different thing though. It's just I'm trying out new stuff, new creative things with this project, and I'm by the time that's done, it'll be out there, and I'm hoping people will like it.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see it. Yeah. But do you have any other upcoming releases, merch, news that you haven't mentioned that you want to mention now?
I wish I could release merch, honestly.
Yeah.
Just seems like a hard process, but I really wish I could. But one day. But I guess that's it for my releases as far as the future. I'm just kind of working on on a few things. It's not really really anything specific, or I'm restricting myself into one sort of vibe. I'm just kind of going over the place with creativity, and trying to see what fits and stuff like that. It's a good process, I'm able to kind of sit in my room and just, make what comes to my mind, and I just go oh yeah, this is a cool thing. And then, yeah, I put it out, people would like it or not, and yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much for talking to us. It's been awesome. It's been Ava.
And Elena.
And we will catch you in the next interview.